I'm very confused about Chrome, and I have no idea what its motives are. One thing is for sure, it's an invasive species. Today I have compiled all my knowledge on Chrome to figure out what in the 0 point is going on. We know the person behind the current outbreak of Chrome is the Herald. Herald means to be a messenger of news or a warning. This Chrome is probably phase 2 of something terrible coming. Phase 1 would be Reality Falls. By the way, Reality Falls is now orange, which means we're getting further into the process of going back in time. Like Chapter 2 Season 6. The dots are starting to connect now. Season 6 had the spires. Those spires were made out of chromium, the same thing as Chrome. We had control though. The Spire Guardians seemed to manage it. Remember, the Spire Cult was an IO faction. Guess who's gone now? It's now clear that there are a lot of connections between what's happening now and Chapter 2 Season 6. Primal Biome, Chrome appears, and now one clear difference. IO isn't here to contain the 0 point. They knew something we didn't. But one thing will turn out the same. The last reality will return. There is now a lot I need to get into. Trust me, this is important. You may have noticed an increase in butterflies. What if I told you they all have a connection to the spire and the cubes? There are 3 main colors: blue, purple, and gold. We've seen all of these in the 0 bloom and the cubes. There are also 2 other additional colors: red and gray or white, aka dormant. Red is shown when the 0 bloom is destabilized, but we have yet to see a red cube. We've seen powerful cube monsters with a red glow though. Also, red rifts were used in the scientist rift beacons in Season X. More on that later. We've seen a cube deactivated before, turning it into a dormant state. It's speculated that the white butterfly we see on Monarch is a dormant butterfly. We haven't seen the 0 point in a dormant state yet, but that might happen soon, unless the spire actually was the 0 point's dormant state. Now, what does this all lead up to? Take a look at last season's Enlightenment styles: Purple Platinum Rift, Blue Lapid Slurp, and Golden Auric Blaze. These each resemble Chrome, Slurp, of course, and Sideways Energy. Based on their colors and origins, we can base them on 3 central powers: Dark, Light, and Sideways. Dark is what we've always seen from cubes, the Purple Corruption. Light is what we've seen in Reality Falls and the Blue Cube. Sideways is a mix of dark and light, effectively becoming stronger. The Cube Queen uses Sideways powers, and it's possible that the Collider used Sideways Energy too. This would probably mean that the Cube Queen having a golden cube doesn't have to do with royalty, but instead what power she has. This would explain how we see multiple gold cubes in the cube's cradle. Next connection, Chrome has a hexagonal form. If you were to look at a cube 3-dimensionally, it would look like a hexagon. The last reality's logo even shows that. There are also 2 more connections to hexagons: the cube runes from Chapter 1 Season 6, and the spire towers from Chapter 2 Season 6. This makes perfect sense to what we're speculating. I don't totally understand what happened after the black hole, but if that dark corruption was still there and on Apollo, the Spire Cult would have to contain it. Here's an extra connection. The Cube Queen and Spire Assassin's descriptions both talk about being from beyond reality. Spire Assassin says, Guardian of a world beyond reality, and the Cube Queen says, Terror from beyond reality. Next, butterfly anomalies also appeared in Chapter 2 Season 6. So far I'm pretty sure the butterflies are sort of like a power source for the cubes. At least wherever the cubes go, the butterflies follow. Something is connecting here. The cube would drip a light purple liquid into some sort of portal below it. When the last bit dropped, it seemed to go into a dormant state and then explode. Then, we saw a light butterfly. I'm pretty sure it's very similar to when the cube got rebooted in the Skyfire event, just that time it was a lot less explosive. The butterflies may also work as the Herald scouts. That means the Herald was waiting for the time to strike in Chapter 2 Season 6. Leading on with what the cube might have been doing in Chapter 1 Season 6, the liquid was probably Chrome. The next time we saw underneath Loot Lake, there was a vault made of a material that resembles Chrome. Yeah, that's probably the Spire Cult. Whatever happened after the Chrome dripped into the portal, the Spire Cult handled it, taking effective measures to make sure that doesn't happen again. This leads me to something else. You may know my theories about Singularity and the Origin. As a quick refresher, I think that the original cube might have been the Origin, and he was captured by Singularity. If you want to understand that more, you can watch the video I made on it. I'll explain the changes to that theory right now though. We know that the paradigm isn't Singularity now, and I've clarified that in a newer video where I thought Singularity could be the Herald, but I don't agree with that now. That doesn't mean she wasn't very similar to the Herald. Let's put it this way. Singularity was the Origin's Herald. Singularity was a double agent for the Imagined Order who led the Origin to where she could trap him. Singularity somehow makes him go dormant, probably by using light butterflies to cancel out his power. He has no choice but to drain his powers into the portal we saw, and
Miss Singularity, I don't feel so good.
so this means Singularity is probably the leader of the Spire Cult. It's time to get into what the Herald herself has to do with the last reality. If you take a look at Bloom from Chapter 2 Season 7, we are told that they are Pluxarian. They also have a striking resemblance to the Herald. Zig and Choppy, members of the last reality, are also Pluxarian. The Herald is probably also a Pluxarian member of the last reality. Like Singularity with the Origin, the Herald is probably the Cube Queen's Herald. It's pretty clear what her intentions are now. So, the Herald makes way for the Cube Queen. But how exactly? If you go to Loot Lake right now, you can see the old house from Chapter 1 is back. This is probably from transitioning back in time, but if you look up, you can see a rift. Remember what happened the last time we saw a rift in the sky in the Loot Lake house? Yep, that will be where the Cube Queen will enter the island from. We'll probably get a gold lake and a gold floating island, but it probably won't be cool when reality starts to collapse. We know who has been able to stop this before, and we need it now. Despite our complications with the Imagined Order, their knowledge is what we need to survive. We need Singularity. And maybe the Paradigm knows that. Back to what I was saying earlier about the scientists' rift beacons, the rift zones remind me of the sideways anomalies. First of all, the sideways anomalies resemble corrupted rifts. When you enter them, they create a bubble field. The rift beacons use red rifts to power them, then create a rift in the sky and a bubble field. Now that I think about it, that reminds me of the bloom zones. Maybe there's a connection there, but I'm not sure. What really comes to mind is Loot Lake with that rift above it. It seems like the rift beacons and bloom zones can open alternate realities. The sideways anomalies can open different biomes or dimensions. And whatever we're seeing now can send places back in time. But the similarities between the bloom zones and the rift zones explains why we're suddenly seeing red butterflies. Something that I just realized is how those three categories may line up with three dimensions. Light would be the in-between, sideways would clearly be the sideways, and dark would probably be the nothing. If you couldn't tell from it being longer than usual, this video took a lot of effort, so please share this video if you find it interesting. Also like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. I'd love to hear some thoughts on this, so comment down below if you have any. Anyways, have a pie, and goodbye.